Hi everyone, Abu here from the Lore Party Podcast Network, and I wanted to try a little something different today for the YouTube channel. So usually on this channel, we post highlights from our many shows, whether it's clips from Lore Party or highlights from our Dune podcast, Gom Jabbar. They usually get posted here in sort of easy, small sound bites. But what I wanted to do today was actually get on camera here and stream the opening scene to God of War, 2018's God of War. I love this game. It's maybe one of my all-time favorite games, certainly in the top 5. And I really what I want to sort of point out and discuss on this video today is just the opening first couple of minutes. I think it's a cinematic, the entire game is an incredible sort of masterclass in storytelling, but this opening scene is just absolutely incredible in the detail, in the animation detail, in the music, and the voice acting. And I want to sort of go through it together and talk about my feelings and really pick it apart from a cinematography and storytelling perspective. So you can see on your screen, we're right at the start. I just have a YouTube video pulled up of all of the God of War cutscenes. We're going to watch the first couple of minutes together, and I'm going to pause at certain points and point out some things that really show what an absolute masterpiece this game is in so many ways. I apologize for if you guys can hear that siren outside, living in a city, but let's I'm gonna hit play here. Let's get into it. One caveat before we start, this is going to be a spoiler filled video. My assumption here as you're watching is that you have already played the entirety of the game and you know the story, spoilers and all. So if you don't, be wary. Probably don't watch this video because I might mention some really late game, end game stuff, and there's some great twists and turns that you owe it to yourself to experience in the game. But if you have played it, let's continue, and let's take a look at this first scene. It's just absolutely beautiful. Sirens! So many sirens. I think they stopped. Okay, let's go. Wait a second. This is 1080. 1080. Okay, let's make sure. All right, I got to pause it here already. This is going to happen a lot. I'm going to be pausing quite a bit. The very opening scene of the game, we notice a couple of things, right? First and foremost, no chains. No chains on Kratos' arms. And if you've played God of War 1, 2, and 3, or any of the other previous games, that's big. Immediately you're like, cool, time has passed. He's got a beard, no chains, but he's got bandages where the chains would be. And then, of course, here is the handprint of Kratos' wife, who at the very beginning here, as we'll see, is deceased. And this is a handprint that she left as a marker, and he is about to chop down this tree, which will take down the barrier that has been protecting Kratos and his wife and his son from the outside world. They're about to literally be exposed to the outside world. Their world is about to expand and change. And just what a beautiful way to open the game right here. An absolutely silent, the music is incredible too, but an absolutely silent scene of Kratos clearly in pain. An emotion that, you know, rage is the emotion we associate with Kratos, pain. But then here, he starts swinging the axe. We start to see that rage. There it is, that second strike, that rage forming right on his face. Incredible animation, incredible storytelling. We're literally like a minute into it, not even. And we already have learned so much. Kratos is in pain. He's angry. He's chopping down this tree for some reason. Such an incredible setup in just a few minutes. I love that. That scream, that strikes. Beautiful. Just top-notch voice acting work. That scream was anger, it was pain, it was suffering, it was fear. He doesn't know what's next for him and Atreus. Beautiful. If you can't tell, I love this game. If you can't tell, huge fan. And after that rage, we come back down. Another sort of moment of calm and silence. Love this part. We need to talk about this. That, of course, is the bandages where the chains of Olympus were the blades of chaos were sort of strapped around his wrists and seared into his flesh. That's starting to unravel. What does that mean? Why take the second to animate this shot of the bandages unraveling? For the story, to serve the purpose of the story and to set it up. Look, Kratos just lost his wife, maybe the one stable thing he had in his life after all of the chaos of the previous games, after all of the chaos of his past life. He suddenly lost his wife here. He's in pain. He's in suffering. We heard that with the roar. Ah! That was a roar of anger and pain and fear. And now he's starting to literally unravel. The bandages are coming apart. And that scares him. And this is just a physical way to literally show Kratos emotionally here is in pain. He's coming apart. And what he does next, so good. Takes a breath. Takes a breath to calm himself. Is that something that his new life, that his wife taught him? Perhaps a way to manage his anger? Like, an animator and a storyteller and a director decided this was a moment where Kratos needed to take a minute. And that's not the Kratos we knew in the previous games. Incredible storytelling. He takes a breath. We, as the viewer, take a breath with him. Look at that. He's unraveling, and right here, that's it. Take a breath, calm down, drown out the fear and the anxiety. You have something to worry about here. And the camera's about to pan, and we realize what that something is in just a hot second. Of course, it's Atreus. He's about to walk on. But you saw that the way that was animated. Let's back up a little here. Hold on. The tug, you could almost hear Kratos' inner monologue saying, pull yourself together. Atreus needs you. Tug, tug. And then right here, brilliant. Such a tiny, tiny, tiny detail. Kratos just physically turned away from Atreus. He does not want his son to see that he is unraveling emotionally and quite literally around his wrists. Let's back up again so you can see that. Tug, tug, and notice him turn away, and then something else brilliant happens right after. It's so good.
Found some.
Turn away from Atreus. Don't let him see your weakness or your pain. Atreus comes around, turn away again. The camera turns with Kratos, and Kratos physically turns away from his son. Don't show your weakness. Don't show you're in pain. Your son needs you here. No matter how scared you might be, no matter how much you might be coming apart, pull yourself together. Such a beautiful, beautiful choice by the cinematographer, the director, the animators to include that. And you might be thinking at this point, wait a second, Abu, I feel like you're maybe reading too much into this, right? Like this is just a scene where Atreus walks in and they just had to shift the camera angle. Absolutely not. Every second of animation takes a whole team, not just some, a whole team of animators, hours and hours to put together. Animators, lighters, sound designers, composers. Why take the time to make sure that not once, but twice, Kratos turns away from his son in this moment of pain? It's absolutely intentional. What brilliant storytelling, what brilliant cinematography from just the first 2 minutes of the game. It absolutely astonishing. An absolute masterclass. And right here, look, notice again, why hang on this camera angle and have Kratos turn his head for just a second? He turns his head, he's checking. Is Atreus gone? Can I finish wrapping my bandages? Is he going to see the weakness? I don't want him to see that. And again, tug, tug. Pull yourself together. You can see on Kratos' face the resolve now. His son is here. He needs to get his shit together and pick up this gigantic tree because his son needs him to. It's time to move on. It's time to physically move at this point. And this is where the player takes control of Kratos and you go through sort of the initial tutorial, the controls.
Still want me to tie it to the boat?
Amazing. And this might be more obvious, but this also just tells us that Kratos is still as powerful as we knew him in the previous games. He just picked up a giant fucking tree. He's strong. There's no doubt about that. If that rippling six-pack on his dad bod did not make that clear. He's still got all the strength that he once did. This is not a weaker Kratos that we are now meeting. but definitely a more emotionally mature one. If that moment of breath and the moment of tying his bandages back tells us anything.
The forest feels different now.
Everything is different, boy.
Everything
Try
is
not to
different.
dwell on it.
Yes, sir.
What an incredible opening. Just this slow, methodical. Like, would you expect this from God of War? Do you remember how God of War 3 opened? On the back of a Titan? What a tremendously different tone to set here. Just this slow, methodical. And at this point, if you haven't spoiled yourself the first time you're playing the game back in 2018, you don't quite know why, like, where we are going, or why we're carrying this tree where we are. Something else I love is the fact that there's virtually no camera cuts in this game. It just continues to follow Kratos until, and this is, again, so beautiful, there are very few moments in this game where we break from Kratos, where the camera physically breaks away from Kratos and we don't see where he is, and we follow Atreus instead. This is one of those extremely powerful and poignant moments. Keep in mind here, the camera is the viewer. The storytellers want us to think now from Atreus' perspective. Keep that in mind. We are now the little boy, and we follow him. We can hear Kratos chopping that tree over there, but we're now with Atreus. This is now Atreus and his emotional journey. We saw Kratos' emotional journey in the last 2 minutes. Now we get to see Atreus here. And again, boom, this is where it clicks. That's his mother. That's Kratos' wife. And this is potentially as a first-time player.
Do I see my mother? Oh, there. Do I see my father?
Like, I'm getting emotional. Just like I don't want to interrupt him. He's
Oh, there.
lighting the candles around his mother, around his his caretaker, and what a powerful scene.
Oh, there. Do they call to me? Oh, there. Do they call to me? Oh, there. Do they call to me? Oh, there. Do they call to me?
Notice how we're real tight. The camera is right up here in Atreus' face. We are supposed to be emotionally empathizing with him here. Like, of course, a little boy just lost his mother, and he has an uncertain future ahead of him with a distant father. That's scary. And we're right here close with him. Like, at this point, you almost want to hug Atreus. You want him to tell him everything's going to be okay. And you see oh my God, you see the tears. There's no crying. There's no outward, like, explosion of, like, no, mom. Like, just a prayer and some silent tears. Hits so much more powerfully than some sort of outburst. And so much more realistic in many cases. Oh, I love this shot. Notice two things that just happened. Notice what the camera did. We have now left the point of view of Atreus. We've turned around. We've left his point of view. And we're looking at Kratos. This harsh photo, this figure, this dominating, tremendously powerful, scary figure in the shadows, is Kratos to Atreus. We are looking, notice how the camera turned, just as Atreus did. We are looking through the eyes of Atreus here. This is what his dad is to him. Not a warm, comforting figure. An imposing, powerful shadow. And what a way to convey their relationship to each other in just a couple of seconds here. In just a single shot, we know how Atreus feels right now. Scared, helpless, absolutely heartbroken because of the death of his mother. And then we turn around and we also realize that he's uncertain of what this means for him and his dad now. This like very imposing, potentially distant figure. Notice how we can't see Kratos' face here. Atreus can't even read his dad's emotions, and that comes to light later in the game, of course, where they get mad at each other and they talk about how the loss of his mother and the loss of his wife affected them. But right now they're not talking to each other. They're not connecting. They're going through the motions of this funeral for someone that they both equally loved and were attached to, but they're not equally loving and attached to each other at the moment. Atreus cannot physically read Kratos' face in this shot, and he cannot emotionally read his father. It's such an amazing, beautiful shot. Of course, we hang on that for a second before, again, the camera angle goes low here. Instead of Kratos walking in straight towards the camera angle goes low. This is how Atreus looks up at his father, this giant, like 6 foot, like ripped fucking guy who's walking in with this cold, dead stare in his eyes as he's looking at your mother. That's what we're supposed to realize Atreus is seeing right now. Incredible cinematography. I know I'm like getting excited and geeking out, but like it's all there. It's all there. And you know, I'm sure someone in the comments is going to be like, dude, you're reading too much into it. They just made a sad scene. They did so much more than that. And every single second of animation is intentional because it takes entire teams hours and days and weeks of work to put something like this together. You don't waste all that work into something that's not intentional. Notice this shot again. We're in real tight. We see Kratos' wife here in the shot, and then a real tight close-up of Kratos. Now we've left Atreus. We're following our protagonist and the character that we'll be playing for a majority of the game, and we're real tight. Now we're supposed to be emotionally empathizing with Kratos here. We, as the player, realize he's also in pain. We saw something Atreus didn't just 2 minutes ago. We saw Kratos, his bandages, and emotionally unraveling. Atreus, remember, didn't see that. Atreus just sees this shadowy figure in the doorway. We, the player, recognize how much pain Kratos is in right now, and this is supposed to be a mirror tight shot of the tight shot of Atreus we had just a few seconds ago. Absolutely incredible. Such good cinematography, such good storytelling, and then that music swells up, and the music, of course, is something else. I'm not a composer. I don't have a background in. I'm not musically talented, but even I know this is good. And for a hot second here, again, we're with Atreus. We're watching our mother be laid to rest on this funeral pyre. So good. And now we're back with Kratos lighting that fire. The beautiful facial animations there. You can see it. You could almost see the pain in Kratos' eyes. And then here, you'll notice, I think there's a car alarm going off outside. I'm so sorry. Hopefully it'll stop soon. But notice here, back up a bit. Look at this shot. There's a reason this camera decided to pan around. For the first time in this game, and I realize we're only like 5 minutes into it, but for the first time, we now see the family. Kratos, his wife, Atreus, his mother, in the same shot. Before we saw Kratos and his wife. Before we saw Atreus saying a prayer for his mom. That car alarm's getting louder and louder. But now, for the first time, we see the family as a whole in the same shot together. And Atreus even steps up to stand in line with his father. Yo, there's something going on outside. Oh, I love this too. And this is probably where I'll end the video, because I have no idea what's going on. You know what? I'm terrified to check. Okay, I think it's passing. It's passing. It's passing. Yep, cool. There it is. More sirens. So this is what happens when you live in a city, and you're recording right next to a window. Okay, so we saw the family in the same shot. Atreus steps up to be parallel with his father. Their mother is on the funeral pyre. They both give each other a look. They're trying to read each other's emotions right now. They're trying to figure out what is the other one feeling? How do I connect with them? I'm in pain, but this isn't exactly the person I can reach out to for comfort. And then Atreus runs forward, grabs his mom's knife, and she leaves a mark. She leaves a physical mark on her son, like every mother leaves a mark, an emotional mark, physical. All mothers leave some sort of mark on their son. The last thing Atreus' mom did for him here was teach him a lesson, leave a mark. Such a beautiful way to convey that. I mean, not only is he missing his mother and he wants a memento, right? On the surface level, it's like, that's my mom's knife. I want something of hers to keep with me. And now there's a lesson.
I'm sorry.
And he's kept a physical mark, like all moms leave a mark on their children.
Squeeze.
And here, for the first time, so far we've seen Kratos just give orders. We've seen them be distant. They grieved their Atreus' mother in their own separate ways. Now we see them interact, and we see Kratos comfort his son. His son is in pain, and we see him comfort him. He might be in his own sort of weird, distant way, and he gives him the bandage. He takes a bandage from something we know is so emotionally important to Kratos. Like, that's his past life. Something that's so personal to him. He takes a part of that bandage, uses it to heal Atreus' wound. Kratos' way of, like, reaching out to his son, opening up to his son in like a tiny, tiny way, which they eventually do later on in the game. Such beautiful. He could have just like rubbed it with ice, or like maybe there was another bandage he could have wrapped, but no, he used the bandage, and that the symbolism there is so important.
She knew.
Show me.
Now?
Now.
And then of course we sort of get into the game proper, and we're about to go on a hunt with Atreus. And, you know, my read on this is, now we need to take a moment here. Look at this shot. Just look at it. Look at the glint in Kratos' eyes. Those are tears. He's not going to let those tears fall down his cheeks. But that's not just the flames reflected in his eyes. That's because his eyes are wet. Did he send Atreus away there so he could have a moment because he was breaking down? Maybe. Did he send Atreus to go get his things so they could go on a hunt because that's all he knows and that's the only way he's like sort of desperate to connect with his son and figure out what's next for them? Yeah, probably. Maybe a mix of both of those things. But we get a moment with Kratos here grieving.
What are we hunting?
You are hunting deer.
And now
Which way?
Kratos.
In the direction of deer.
Hard for him right now. I mean, Kratos is in pain. That was a dick answer. but he's in pain. And he you know, he's nervous. He doesn't know what to expect from their future together. He doesn't know if he's going to be a good father to Atreus. The assumption here, I suppose, is that Atreus has been much closer to his mother, and that's got to be scary when Kratos is suddenly left alone.
I need to know you can survive the journey.
Then we leave for the mountain?
Depends on you. Hunt. What did you find?
A way of connecting,
Tracks.
a way of testing Atreus to see if he's ready for the larger world, for the death and destruction and deceit that's in the larger world that Kratos himself has experienced on so many levels, on so many occasions. Absolutely incredible. And I think we'll end it. This is the final scene here that I wanted to maybe touch on, and we'll probably end it here. But remember, this is just the first 10 minutes of the game. I've already spent so much time gushing and talking about the cinematic and storytelling choices and the animation choices and the music. All of that.
Not chasing it.
It's just masterful.
Yes, Father.
That's how it's done. That is one of the reasons this game is just such an absolute masterpiece in my mind.
He broke our bridge. How are we gonna get across?
Step aside.
And then here the game sort of begins proper. So I think we'll end it there. There's so much more. I promise you, I could go through the next 6 hours of this game and make like a 20-hour video about why I love every single scene and break it down and why it's so good and the storytelling is so intentional and powerful. And trust me, I could. But I think we'll end it here. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this video was somewhat interesting. I hope if you have played God of War, you have a greater appreciation for it. I hope if you haven't played God of War, maybe this video...
What are you doing? Now his guard is up. Only fire.
That breath. Did you guys hear the breath? I'm going to go back.
Now his guard is up. Only fire.
Only fire.
Only fire.
Only fire. That breath. He has learned over these past however many years to control that anger that he used to unleash, like we just saw him unleash on Atreus. He used to unleash that and hold nothing back, and now he keeps doing that breath. Calm yourself.
When I tell you to fire.
I'm sorry.
Do not be sorry. Be better.
Okay, that's where we're gonna end it. Such a good, not a good line, right? Don't say that to your children. But I like, as somebody who has had very strict immigrant parents growing up, right? Like a lot of my childhood was that interaction. Like in a very stereotypical way. My parents were very much, don't be sorry, be better, do better next time. Sorry isn't good enough. You need to be better. And that mentality is something that playing this game, and I think that line was in the early trailers as well, before the game came out, I knew this game was something special. When that interaction happened, I knew this game was going to resonate with me. And I hope these last couple of minutes here on this video have made it clear how important this game is to me personally, but also how important this game is as a medium for storytelling, and what an incredible job the entire team at Santa Monica Studios did in telling this mature, nuanced, gorgeous story. I mean, you're watching a 1080p compressed YouTube video. I've seen this game running in HDR on a 4K OLED TV. Mind-bogglingly beautiful on a technical level. Just gorgeous. An absolute masterclass. So that's where I'll end the video. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much for entertaining my geekiness, and I hope you've learned or gotten something out of this. I hope I opened your eyes to some of the very intentional choices that the game developers made in just the opening 10 minutes of the game to teach us so much and set so much of the tone of the game and build so much of that relationship between Kratos and Atreus that we begin to see evolve and grow and eventually, come to a head throughout the game. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for subscribing. If you do subscribe, if you don't, please do that. And of course, go to loreparty.com and check out our 4 shows on the network there. We have Lore Party, which is our flagship show. We do a lot of this stuff. We talk about the minutia of storytelling, the decisions, the themes. We really geek out about video games as a storytelling medium, not just God of War. We've covered over 25 different video game series. Please go check that out, loreparty.com. Check out our shows and let us know what you think. Thank you so much for watching. Once again, my name's Abu. And I'll see you on the podcasts, and I'll see you on future videos. Bye.